we were all promised 15 years ago, like we all watched those movies that had little robots, and like, yes, I'm gonna have a robot one day that's gonna clean my room and do my stuff.
Yeah.
That's what this is gonna be. That's what this is gonna be. And when you take it real far, you're not gonna like this, but eventually this is gonna be in here. It's gonna get weird. It's coming. Hopefully we won't see it because I'm scared of it. But it's coming. It's how we evolve. It's what we do. And so I'm very excited, and the reason I wrote this book is that this part of what I'm talking about from a business context matters for the next 5 years. And then it'll evolve. But this next 5-year window, I truly believe that if you take your time to engage with your end user, and I love this comment from people, Gary, wait a minute, you do this for like 10 hours a day. When do you do your real job? Right? You're all thinking right now, if he wants us to engage all day, when do we do our real job? When did your real job not involve dealing with your end customer?
Amen.
When did that happen?
Amen.
When did that happen? And I promise you, if you audited your business right now, you're doing a lot of dumb shit. You're doing things that somebody else could do. I promise you. You can hire somebody for 12 bucks an hour or 20 or 100,000 a year that would be better for your business, because if you don't understand this part and you just outsource it to some 22-year-old intern, they're going to leave and you're going to have to start all over. You have to understand what this is about. This is the ecosystem. Your social equity of your business is going to be the most important part of your business, and it is going to determine how you're doing business. It's going back to small town rules. Every butcher that went out of business in the 1930s and 40s was because they weren't a nice guy. And when Sally walked in and he was rude, Sally told everybody at the PTA, Sally told everybody at the Little League game, and very quickly the 150 people in that little town stopped going there. They didn't care if they had to take a horse somewhere further to get the meat, and he was out of business. That is now being replicated because we live in a small world. We know more about each other. We're doing micro context with each other. I know so much more about people. We can do things. You made a video to introduce yourself to me. I watched it this morning. You and I have context. We've never met. You've watched a whole lot of my stuff, but we have context now because I watched a 4-minute 20 video about you, and you're telling me that maybe I made a mistake in buying my apartment in New York City, so now we're going to talk about it. Context happens, and it's scalable, and it's changing the way we do business. The people that know how to do it the best will win. The people that don't will lose. Business had to do what I'm doing right now for the last 100 years. They needed to know how to give a presentation. They talked, you consumed, you made a decision. Either I'm good or I'm bad. The skill set that's going to matter going forward is the people that know how to work a room. It's gone from a presentation to a cocktail party, and it's a very different skill set. And I believe because of that, and because I understand DNA, that we will see dramatically more women CEOs going forward.
Yes.
Sensitive dudes like me. People that come from the charity world are going to have an opportunity. It's going to take a different skill set. It's not about analyzing the numbers anymore. It's about having the feel for the end consumer. And there'll be data. We'll see things. We're creating data at VaynerMedia that is fascinating of what happens when you answer somebody on Twitter and Facebook in a minute instead of a month. What is the context of that? And we're seeing incredible things. And of course we feel that if we're really nice to somebody, that when they go into the store, they're going to buy our soda or our cupcakes or our Cracker Jacks. Of course we feel that. Because that's what you do in real life. Every person in this room right now spends more money on something than they know they can buy for cheaper somewhere else. And there's only 2 reasons you do it. 1, every person in this room is lazy. So convenience will let you do that. You will go somewhere that's quicker and closer to you, and you'll pay more money for it, even though you can save by going somewhere further. The only other reason you spend more money on anything in the world is context. Because your aunt works there, because your brother works there, because your best friend said it was awesome and you wanted to check it out. Whatever it is, those are the only 2 reasons. And that's where I see commerce going. The reason Amazon bought Zappos was not for more shoes. They bought it because they needed to understand the DNA of that company, because they knew that there was products that they were getting outsold on, even though Zappos was much smaller and more expensive. So how could Amazon possibly let that happen? And what was interesting about that? And Bezos is a visionary. Absolutely, bar none, one of the biggest visionary entrepreneurs of this generation. I'm so bullish on Jeff that I've said publicly that I think he's going to end up being a bigger and better entrepreneur than Steve Jobs. That's how big I am in it, because he's innovated multiple times, not just in one genre. Jobs' stuff is still within similar, I know it's disrupted a lot of industries, but it's been the same story. TV and radio, it's all the same thing. Bezos has not only done Amazon, but he's shown the ability to do things like Amazon services, which, by the way, if you use S2 and these things, if Amazon services goes down, our economy is going to collapse. Most of the biggest sites in the world use it. That's what I'm scared about, You know, when I see things like Japan, I'm like, what if Amazon services go down? Every site goes down. And the Kindle, and Woot, and Living Social, and Zappos, and Mechanical Turk, innovation in a lot of places. So anyway, I think that we're living through a very substantial time. I think there's a very big difference between a social media play and the thank you economy. For example, let it be known right now, if you live in this world and you hear terms like this, there's no such thing as a social media campaign. That needs to be put into everybody's head. A social media campaign is a one-night stand. Social media is forever. It is a relationship. Old Spice. How many people read or aware of the Old Spice campaign where Mustafa went on YouTube, made 100 videos, tweeted at people? How many of you guys know about that? Raise your hand. Ad Age didn't know what to do with itself. It's been tripping over itself for a year, saying it's the greatest thing that ever happened. They won a billion contest, Wyland Kennedy, best agency. Everybody thinks it's the greatest thing that ever happened. In this book, I break down why it is the worst thing I've ever seen in the thank you economy. Because they did everything perfectly. They used traditional media to build social media context and use it. It's perfect. They executed one-on-one marketing. They did the hard thing. They made 100 videos. That's hard. They touched people. They hit them one by one. It was hard. They used sites like Reddit, so they were obviously paying attention to what was relevant. But then, once they got those 150,000 Twitter followers into their queue, they didn't reply to one single person. 2 in the last 9 months. 1 at reply on November 9th.
Wow.
That's like me promoting the living crap out of this event to everybody I knew, 4,000 people showing up here, and me not showing up. That's what they did. And so instead of all that great stuff that they built up, what they did was they let it go. And what a lot of you will do is do something similar, and then once you get them in, you will talk. You'll get them into your world. You'll get them to hit your like button and follow you on Twitter, and you know what you're going to do? You're going to talk. And the skill that matters is the listening. If you are not using, how many people here use search.twitter.com every single day of their lives? Raise your hand. It's great. If you're not, and you're in business, I highly recommend it. And some of you might think you're in a local business. This is something a lot of people don't know. If you search.twitter.com, if you search something, like I did, like Chardonnay, or book, or lawyer, or whatever it is, you search a word. If you have a space after it, and you put near, N-E-A-R, colon, your zip code, you can actually search conversations within a 10-mile radius. So a lot of people feel like search.twitter doesn't work for them because there's a lot of noise, but you can narrow it down to something extremely local. So if you're a landscaper or a florist with a small shop, it matters for you. And I would leave you with this because I want to go into a lot of Q&A. Please think of your business and your service as more of a service than a business. The reason I worked and became so relevant is that in 2007, when I used Surmise.com, which is now search.twitter, I searched Chardonnay, Merlot, and Walla Walla, Washington, and all these different wine terms. And when somebody said, thinking about buying a bottle of Chardonnay, I didn't jump in and say, oh, cool, wine library here, here's free shipping. We'll give you free shipping, which would have been something very nice to do, in theory. But I took it a step higher. I was a service. I asked a question. What kind of Chardonnays do you like? Oaky? Or do you like steely, Chablis, Macon style Burgundies? And then I answered again. And then I said, oh, well, there's a great store, Bevmo, right by you, that has this. I did not show the card that I was interested in closing the deal. You know why? Because I am interested in closing the deal, but do you know why? I want to close the deal for the next 50 years, not for the next 5 minutes.
That's good.
So please, think about your business as a service. If you're a lawyer, I know you bill against your time. But guess what? If you make videos and help people with fun facts, you become more popular and more interesting, and then people become more comfortable with you and then become the person they want to go and use. I know you sell your service and your time and your stuff, but putting it out and paying it forward will bring enormous ROI long term. And if you're building a business, it's about the marathon, not the sprint. How many people here want to retire in the next 5 years? Not want to. How many people are retiring in the next 5 years? You're retiring in the next 5 years? Why?
Keep on doing what I want to do.
I see, retiring from what you're doing, but you'll keep on working. So you're not retiring. Okay? Who else is retiring?
I mean, I've retired. This is my second time going.
So you're still going?
Yeah.
My point is this. If you are going to be doing business, whether you like it or something you want to do or what have you, and you're not paying attention to this conversation and these platforms, you have no shot. What do you think the world's going to look like in 5 years? I mean, this stuff is overturning governments in the Middle East and helping people from tsunami relief in Japan. Do you have the audacity to think this doesn't affect your business?
Yeah. Amen.
Please, take your head out of the sand.